So here we are. I am in my animation workspace. You are probably here in Maya Classic. I'll just move back over to animation. And the big thing that I get is this graph editor window. Now, for my introduction with this character, I'm going to do a very simple ball bounce animation. And the first thing I'm going to do is just change my time slider so that I'm working with 48 frames. I'm not going to need more than that. The graph editor will allow me to view and edit my animation curves. So let's go ahead and start with a simple curve. I am going to animate the placement control because the placement control has a pivot point here at the origin. I will move this ball up. That is a translate Y. So here in the channel box, I'm going to right click on translate Y and key selected. That sets my initial keyframe here. You can see it there too. And I am using my auto keyframe button, which is this little red thing right there. That means that if I move my time slider or my playback head, I can just reset this to 0, and that will automatically set another keyframe for me. The animation curve is this line here in the graph editor. And you can see that what it's doing is it's moving from this position to this position. The current graph that I've got uses these things called flat or plateaued tangents. The tangency of the graph is really important because the tangency creates the slope. Sorry, let me drink some tea here. The slope of the graph, if I change this to a linear graph, you'll see becomes much more even. Now the ball just moves straight up and down. If I move back to my plateau tangents, now it'll hang a little bit and then start to move faster and then slow down as it hits the ground. So the tangency of the curve creates the speed at which the motion happens. There are several different types of tangents that I can use. So this is the plateau or the flat tangent. This is a linear tangent for even motion, and this is a step tangent. With the step tangent, we simply change states. So we're up, and then we're down. Let's move back to the plateau. Get a nice even motion. For this first exercise, I'm going to start off just leaving the default settings in place and doing all of the motion with these plateau tangents. And then as we go on, we'll start using other types of tangents. So right now, the ball is coming down and hitting the ground at frame 12. Then I think at frame 18, I'm going to move it back up. And because I've got auto keyframe in place, that is going to automatically set a keyframe. At frame 24, I will zero this out. Auto keyframe will set a keyframe for me. I'll just come a few frames over, maybe frame 27. Back up just a tiny bit. Frame 30. Back down to 0. And then I'm going to do one more very small bounce. Maybe I'll come 2 frames over. Move just the tiniest bit up, 2 more frames over, back down to 0, and that will be my animation. So I'm sure you've all done a bouncing ball before, and this is just a refresher for you. You'll see that the ball does bounce and the rate of speed is good, but it doesn't really look like it's hitting the floor. It kind of looks like it's floating a bit. So the first tangent exercise we usually do with animation students, I'm going to take this graph, press the F key on my keyboard, that will frame it, and now I can see it a little bit better. The first tangency exercise we usually do with animation students is to take these impact points, the point where the ball is hitting the floor, I'm going to use this button here to break my tangents. What that will allow me to do is it will allow me to take the tangent handles and have the ball come into the impact point a little bit faster and leave it a little bit faster. If I look at this impact point over here, what's happening is the ball is slowing down, almost pausing a little bit at the impact site, and then slowly moving back up. And that's the thing that's causing it to look a little bit like it's floating. So as I break this tangent handle, it will land faster and leave faster. That will make it look more like it's bouncing. So I'll take this one, I'll break it, move that up, move that up, then this one, and this one at the end too. I'll take them both and break them. And now I can adjust that, I can adjust that, and I can adjust that. The other fun thing is that once you start adjusting these tangent handles, you no longer need these upper keyframes. So I can take that and delete it, and that, and that, and that will actually give me a much smoother curve. And if I think that I need that to go a little bit higher, I can just come in and adjust my tangencies. So now the ball will look more like it's actually falling and hitting the ground and bouncing back up. So I hope that this was a good refresher for you and that you've all remembered a lot about keyframe animation just from this. So let's go ahead and let's start talking about some of these nice secondary motions that we can get here. I'm going to start with the tail because I think that that's the easiest one to see, and all I'm going to do with this is a simple translate Y. Now with this, if I come here to frame 12, I know that at this point the ball has been moving downwards. As the ball moves downwards, what I want to happen is I want the tail to move up. So I'm going to take the tail and I'm going to pull it up, and then I will key my translate Y. If I come back to frame 1, in order for the tail to move upwards, it has to be positioned downwards. So I know that at this point I'm kind of animating backwards, but by moving the tail down at frame 1, as the ball falls, the tail will move up. So the next point that I have is frame 18. At frame 18, the ball is at its next apex. So I'll move the tail back down. I won't go as far down this time because the ball isn't going quite as high. And then at frame 24, the ball hits the ground, the tail comes up. Frame 27, the ball is up just a little bit, so I'll move the tail down. And at frame 30, up. Frame 32, down. And frame 34, up. So again, let me just take this graph and frame it, and you can see that I've got these nice S-curves going on, and that's usually a pretty good sense of arc motion. So let's take a look and see what that does. And now you can see it looks like the tail is reacting to the ball's bouncing, which is pretty nice. And I could go back, I could tweak that a little bit further. I think I might like it to be maybe a little more down here, maybe even a little more up here. And that might give me a little more exaggeration. And whenever you're happy with yours, the next step is to move on and tackle the ears. The ears are going to be similar. For me, what I like to do is I like to take all 4 of them. And in this case, when I rotate, I'm going to be rotating Y, so I will set my initial keyframe. When I selected these, I did shift select them, and you'll note that in the graph editor, I can see all 4 of them listed individually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say here where the ball hits, I would like them to be rotated back. And that'll give me a nice curve there. Then at frame 1, I'll rotate them so they're a little bit forwards. That's going to be my graph. And I'll just go through and continue to do the same thing. So at frame 18, the ears will flip forwards. At frame 24, backwards. 27, forwards. 30, backwards. 32, forwards, and 34, backwards. And if I frame my graph, you'll see that it looks very similar to the tail graph. It's taking on that same shape in those same positions. So let's take a look at this animation. And now it looks like all of the ball's extremities are responding to the bounce that the ball is doing. So that's pretty good. Now if I wanted to give the ball a little bit more character, I could go through and take some of the ear controls. Maybe I will do these two. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this whole entire graph. I will use my Move tool. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, which allows me to move in one direction here in the graph editor. And I'm just going to middle mouse drag and move them all one frame over this way. Then I'll do the same thing on these two. I'll take this graph. You'll note I'm leaving the first keyframe in place. I'm going to Shift middle mouse drag and move them all over one frame in the other direction. What that's going to do is it's going to offset the motion of the ears. So now the ears of the ball are still reacting to the bounce, but they look a little bit floppier, and that gives the ball a little more character. Now, what I'd like you to do is just take a few minutes, spend some time with this animation, and see what you can do to get it to a place where you really like it, where you think the ball's got a lot of personality, but it looks like all of its pieces are reacting to the fall. Whenever you're comfortable with that, move on to the next video. In the next video, we're going to be setting up a much more complicated animation. I'm going to do the initial part where we have the ball bounce, and after that I'm going to leave you on your own to try the secondary animation. We'll see how you do. So again, take a few minutes here, see what you can do with your bouncing ball animation, and I will see you soon.